The views expressed on this episode of the Came to Believe Recovery podcast do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Recovery Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this episode should not be taken as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guests. KHLT and Take 12 Recovery Radio are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. Well, greetings, my friends. I am the Monty Man from Take 12 Recovery Radio, and this is the Came to Believe Recovery Podcast. And now, here are your Came to Believe Recovery podcasting broadcasters to launch us forth on this week's show.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Came to Believe Recovery Podcast. I am here with just Monty today. Hey, Monty.
Happy hody, hody, ho, ho.
Look at us. And we were joking, saying without Tom here, we can do whatever we want.
That's
wear
right.
whatever we want.
Yeah. So there you go, Tom. So,
Because we know that he probably would not be wearing a Christmas hat or reindeer things on his head if he was with us. He probably wouldn't be.
He right now, when he watches this, he's going to go,
No.
No.
Yeah, he won't
No.
say anything. He'll just shake his head.
he'll just shake his head and just, these guys need help. They definitely need help. That's for sure.
Hey, you guys.
Nope.
Hey, excuse me. We have to do the Came to Believe Recovery Icebreaker.
Yeah.
And I put together a little ditty
Uh-oh.
just for this segment. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Here we go. You better watch out. You better eat right. You better live in the go all day and all night. Alicia's t-shirts are coming to town. Yes, they are. She's making a list of things you should eat. I tell you right now, it's proteins and meat. Alicia's t-shirts are coming to town. Here we go. She sees you in the kitchen. She knows when you eat cake.
Mm-hmm.
She'll throw away your pasta bowls, so hide your frosted flakes. It's time for What Does Alicia's Shirt Say?
Oh, my gosh.
That's right. It is time for What Does Alicia's Shirt Say? And what in the world does it say this week? This girl likes guys with tattoos. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go.
It's not
There you
food
go.
related this week, but
No, but it's very carnivorish. You know what I mean? It just kind of fits in the theme of,
strong
Tyrannosaurus
muscle-
Rex
muscle.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So does your hubby have tattoos?
He is covered from head to toe.
Oh, is he really? Okay. Cool.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, I got a few. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7.
You have a few. Yes.
I have 7. Yeah. And so there's probably some people listening right now. Tattoos, oh, that's against the Bible. Actually, just to set everybody straight, the verse in the Old Testament referring to tattoos and marking your body has to do with devil worship. It has nothing to do with tattoos today. If you'd like to challenge me on that, my email is take12radio@comcast.net.
Monty.
That's right. You can me. Oh, my goodness sakes. All right. Well, I think that really does it for the... Oh, I know. I got to look it up, right? Can't forget my whatever national day this is.
Oh, that's right. What is it?
Let's see. Yeah. I can't believe these are actually registered national holidays. or national days, not really holidays. There's two. National Roast Suckling Pig Day. So there you go. There's some
I could
protein.
roast a pig.
Yeah, roast a pig. And it's also National Answer the Phone Like Buddy the Elf Day. So I'm guessing it's like Buddy the Elf in the movie Elf. I'm not sure how he answers the phone, but
I don't either. I don't think
go
I saw
watch
that.
Elf and find out. Now I'm going to have to. I'll report back. So there you go. Roast a pig and answer the phone like an elf. You've been given your instructions.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So the topic this week, after we come back from the short itty-bitty break, the topic this week is high bottom versus low bottom. What the heck are we talking about? So don't go away. The icebreaker is now coming to an end. We're moving into our little break. We'll be back.
The Salvation Army is more than just a red kettle at Christmas.
It's a shelter for me and my children.
It's a place of recovery and hope.
It's a safe place to go after school.
It's a warm meal, a comforting word after you've lost everything.
When you donate to the Salvation Army, expect change.
Take 12 Recovery Radio, Came to Believe Recovery, and this podcast support the Salvation Army. To make your donation to the Salvation Army, visit salvationarmyusa.org. All right, welcome back. You've tuned in to the Came to Believe Recovery podcast. Yes, indeedy. The topic this week, high bottom versus low bottom. What are we talking about, Alicia?
Well, when people come to be recovered, I think that it's important to see that some people have a high bottom and some people have a low bottom. And what
do you
does
mean by
that
that?
mean?
Hmm.
And then what we feel like we had too, I think would be interesting to talk about. Because I don't know if I know your story fully or what. I think I guessed that you had a low bottom from those small stories I heard, but I don't know if you agree. And then with I think I had high bottom. I think, but maybe you could talk me out of it. I don't know. I think it's interesting to kind of see like, well, why would I say that? And what's the difference and which one's better or worse or and people, I think it's interesting to think about because I was even thinking, I think I was a high bottom, but
so I think it's kind of subjective. I think what I might, if I'm listening to somebody share their story of experience, strength, and hope as it relates to what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today in your typical maybe speaker meeting, right? I might listen to that and think, wow, boy, they crashed and burned really, really hard, and I can't identify because some of the stuff that they did or went through or experienced doesn't even scratch the surface of my experience. I'm so glad they're still alive. And I would maybe look at that and go, they really had a low bottom. They really hit bottom hard. And yet they may say the same thing when they hear somebody else's story and think that their bottom wasn't nearly as low as that person's. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's kind of like trauma. That's pretty subjective. Your trauma may be that you were not hugged enough. Mine may be I was hugged too much. I mean, who's to say? So it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to judge it. I think typically, though, what we tend to think of as high bottoms versus low bottoms is, were the consequences uglier? How ugly were they? What did you have to go through? What price did you pay? There was a kind of a movement within the 12-step fellowships at one time, and maybe still is a little bit of, I spilled more booze than you drank, so I'm way worse than you. And if you're going to be part of us, you've got to really, really be bad. There was kind of like that mentality. I don't buy that. I think that everybody's bottom is probably different, but I think typically we think of a high bottom as, well, you didn't go through as much. Maybe you got a DUI, but you got out of jail the next day and the judge gave you a warning. And so you said, you know what, I got to do something about this. I've been drinking and driving for a while. This is the first time I've got caught. I don't want to go through this anymore. I'm going to get into recovery. Somebody might say, well, that was a high bottom.
Yeah. But then to that person they might say, no, that was a low bottom. Right.
They're going, that is the worst thing that has ever happened to me. I don't want to ever go through that again, So it's interesting. I used to have I was going to say I used to have a big ego. How correct that is. But I remember sitting in meetings and thinking to myself, well, at least I'm not as bad as that guy, or that guy doesn't even know what a bottom is. You should hear my story. I used to think things like that. I would compare myself. I don't do that anymore, but I did in early recovery. So you think you were a high bottom. So why is that?
I think, when I stopped alcohol 30 years ago, I feel like I was managing and still going to school, and I was 24. I never got into big trouble. So I feel like I've, just kind of came to a point where, I need to stop. Nothing terrible had to happen to me, with anything. But then I think with like the eating disorders, because I kept that for another 25 years. And then I thought too, I was going to ask you, like, do you think there is a low bottom when it comes to eating disorders? I mean, because it's different. You know what I mean? So I think, that was a high bottom too, even though it was a 33-year long deal. I mean, I guess anorexia, if you're dying in the hospital, that could be a low bottom with food.
Yeah, I would certainly consider that.
Yeah. I didn't go there. I mean, I could have, but I didn't.
Right. So were you bulimic at all? Or?
I was in the beginning, and then I thought, well, this is stupid. I'm just going to stop eating. And then I won't have to throw it up. Yeah, that makes sense. So, that I was for a little bit, but it didn't last. And then I just did the yo-yo thing and binged and starved and binged and exercised and all that stuff.
I think there's, I'm more and more, the more that I live in this recovery world of recovery community members, let's say, and work with people and all, the less I like labels. It used to bother me. People say, "Oh, I don't like labels." I think, well, how do you classify people then? What's wrong with you? but I kind of get it now, But if we've got to go low bottom, high bottom as a description, I would say I think there's probably a low bottom to every dysfunctional behavior and a high bottom to every dysfunctional behavior. Again, it's subjective, so I would consider, somebody that is bulimic and becomes anorexic and they end up in the hospital and they're feeding them through tubes because they won't eat. And, I think I flashed on Karen Carpenter of the Carpenters years ago. I don't know if you ever have seen her story, but I would consider, it took her out, right? It killed her. And so I would consider that definitely a low bottom. Somebody that is having horrible nightmares and horrible headaches, that's eating sugar all day long, and they stop eating sugar, and they do it pretty much without any kind of support, and their headaches go away and they stop getting sick. And I'd probably consider that a low bottom. How'd you do it? Well, I just quit.
High bottom, you mean?
I mean, a high bottom. Yeah, high bottom. And I just quit. It's kind of like in the realm of alcoholism. We believe, most of us that are of the 12-step world, we believe that one of the things that differentiates an alcoholic from a heavy drinker is, if given good enough reason, can you just stop without any assistance, without any connection with a higher power? Can you just decide to stop and you stay stopped? That it's probably likely that you're not, you don't have an allergic reaction to booze. You're a heavy drinker. You're an alcohol abuser. You were given a good enough reason to stop, so you did. Mm-hmm. Those folks, I think we would consider them high bottoms, maybe.
Yeah.
But food, I think you can have a low bottom. But again, it depends on how you describe that self for you.
And bottom line too is what's coming to my head is, like, does it really matter?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's good to talk about it. It's interesting. Yes, it's a conversation, but who cares? Really?
Yeah.
We feel like we had a problem. It's controlling us. I don't want to do it anymore. And right? It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Because once you get into that, well, if you want to be one of us, you've got to have done this and this and this.
Yeah. And what's the purpose of that?
Yeah, well, stop that.
Pride and why? Oh, you had a lower bottom, so you're the winner of the lower bottom award?
The lower bottom club.
Who cares?
Yeah. So I mean, so this begs the question, I think, of, can we help people not reach the bottom of the bottom? Can we
sooner than they?
Can we help them raise their bottom? I think the answer is yes. I think we can. I don't think people have to necessarily go to the extremes, what we might consider extremes, that some of us did. And I think it's been proven out. I think we see people come into our recovery programs or fellowships and apply the principles of the programs, sometimes at early stages of their addictions, and they recover, and they don't end up in jail. They don't end up alienating their entire family. They don't end up on Skid Row, and I guess you could, for lack of a better term, you could say they catch it in time or whatever. And because we're there, we're always there with the hand of whatever program, AA, OA, whatever, to be of assistance and help them. We can help them raise their bottom so they don't experience some of the things that we experience. But the thing is, Alicia, those of us who have recovered from this horrible malady of active addiction and whatever it is we're addicted to, if we don't show up, if we don't make ourselves available, then who are they going to go to? I'll tell you who they're going to go to. They're going to go to people just like themselves that are being taught that they don't need a connection with God. All they need to do is go to meetings. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that is not helping to raise their bottom. That is helping to keep them right where they're at, with permission to even go lower, I think. So I think most treatment professionals are in favor of the philosophy that we can help raise people's bottoms. I mean, do you think we can? Do you think we can help people not go as far down the road as some of us have?
Would think so, but again, it's all about honesty. Is the person honest? Are they going to really see their unmanageability and their powerlessness? Even if they hear it in meetings or at a retreat, are they going to identify with that? And I know, like in retreats, many of us will say, like at the beginning, especially when I'm the host, and I'll say, look for similarities, right? We say that because people
Right.
are
That's
going
a
to say,
biggie.
well, I didn't get a DUI and I didn't do that and I didn't lose my kids, so maybe I'm not an alcoholic. We kind of try to break through that, but it's hard. They might just hear those words. Whoop, my reindeer.
Your antlers.
They
She
might
shed
just
her
hear
antlers.
the words. Let me fix myself.
Tom's going, yay!
Yeah, but not get it, right? Because so many times, like, they'll hear it, but they don't get it, or they are blocked off. That's another thing we say, like the obstacle in the way is you. Open up your heart, open up your ears, and try to hear what we're saying with our words and think. But if they're not ready,
Yeah, so you make a really, really good point, and so I think that's why it's absolutely vital. I mean, when I'm sponsoring somebody, and you know, as of this last year, I've been using the Came to Believe Recovery Legacy Guide much more than I would have in the past, because I'm becoming very familiar with it. But I still take the big book and walk them through the big book because I think it's vitally important that my sponsee reads and understands the doctor's opinions and you know, the letters from the doctors and Bill's story and more about alcoholism, because they need to determine whether or not they're the real deal or not. Are they an alcoholic or are they a heavy drinker? Are they an alcohol abuser or are they an alcoholic? Because it's going to make the difference in how we work with the person. Are you powerless or are you not? Because if you're not powerless over this thing and you have good enough reason to quit and you can just quit, that's awesome. Now, you and I know everybody needs God, right? Not everybody's going to admit that, right? And hopefully we can help people define that relationship with God, you know, whether they're an alcoholic or not, whether they're a food addict or not, or a narcotic addict or not.
what would be an example of someone then when you're working with them? Do they just say, I'm a heavy drinker?
Yeah.
Or, I mean, what does that look like?
Okay.
Do they really say that?
So again, it's really vitally important people read the doctor's opinion and more about alcoholism, because it explains that. So to kind of put it in a nutshell, most people would say in the case of alcoholism that it's a self-diagnosed illness, right? That somebody else can't really determine whether you are or not. You have to determine that.
Right.
I would agree with
I
that.
believe
I would
that.
agree with
I
that.
think that's
Yeah.
true.
Because what people will do is they'll make a judgment call based on your behavior when you drink. That isn't what determines whether you're an alcoholic or not. And so there's two things going on, according to the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous anyway. Doesn't mean you have to agree with this, listeners, but according to that literature and what most treatment professionals truly believe and medical doctors, it goes like this. There's two things that happen. Two boxes you got to check off. The first one is, when you put alcohol in your body, do you have little to no control over how much you drink from that point forward, or how often you drink from that point forward? So basically, do you lose the ability to control your drinking? So that's one, right? Mm-hmm. Probably. And I think, and some people would disagree with me, I think a person can actually experience such euphoria from what alcohol does to them, to the point to where they just naturally want more than what they should have. In other words, abuse it. That doesn't make them an alcoholic. Now, the phenomenon of craving, which we don't fully understand, where you completely lose control, we refer to them as strange mental blank spots sometimes, and that kind of thing. According to the Big Book, never happens, or according to the doctor's opinion, it never happens with the normal temperate drinker. I think we've learned since then that, yeah, it does. People can drink and it be so euphoric that they want more, even against their best judgment. That doesn't make them an alcoholic. So the second category, and I think this is what makes them an alcoholic, is what is our relationship to alcohol when we're stone cold sober, when it's not in our body.
Are we thinking about it? Are we planning for it, you mean?
So, and I've told this story a million times. I'm standing in front of the ATM machine at 2 years abstinent from alcohol. So hear me now. I'm saying abstinent. In other words, no alcohol is in my body. Doesn't mean I'm in recovery. It just means I've had no alcohol in my body. 2 years. And I'm standing in front of the ATM machine, and I am justifying how much money I can take out to buy a couple of beers, and this time it'll be different. This time I'll drink like a gentleman. This time I'll take it home with me, and I'll just have it with the pizza.
So like regular drinkers wouldn't even have that thought.
Right.
Right? Because
People, heavy drinkers, people that drink on New Year's and get way blottoed and maybe get a DUI, they're not thinking that way the rest of the year. I'm thinking that way, and I'm stone cold sober, no booze in my body at all. And I'm trying to figure out a way to get that booze in me, So there's a educational video. I can't remember the name of it. It's amazing though. And there's a story about a guy, he goes into a saloon, and it's like old Western times, right? And he goes into the saloon, and he's an alcoholic, and he hasn't had a drink in some time. And he sits down at the bar, and he orders himself a shot of whiskey, right? And he's looking at it, and he's thinking about drinking this thing. And the bartender has a revolver, and he says, if you drink that, I'm going to blow your brains out, right? The normal person would just walk away. But this guy is thinking to himself, how can I get that shot from the counter to my lips before that bullet hits me?
Right.
How can I do that? See, that's alcoholic thinking.
Yeah.
Right. And so what is my relationship to alcohol when I'm stone cold sober? So we could take that and apply it to anything. What's my relationship to sugar when I have been behaving myself for the last 6 months? What's my thinking? How can I get this payday candy bar in my pocket so no one else sees me? How can I look around? If I'm looking around and I'm at the Came to Believe Recovery Retreat and they're serving up donuts, and I speak from experience, and I'm looking around to see where Alicia's at.
Without Alicia,
I don't want her to see me. Now, I haven't put that in my body yet. But see, my relationship to it, that's addictive thinking.
Right. And normal people would just be like, give me a donut. Or
I don't care.
Whatever.
I don't care what Alicia thinks. I'm eating it anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
But that doesn't mean they're not an addict, though. Because that could be they're just in the sugar and not realizing they have a problem.
That's right. That's right.
Most people do have a problem with sugar, let me just say.
Yeah, and probably don't even realize they've been putting it in their bodies for so long they have no idea.
Yeah.
It's the norm.
So
right?
I guess there's the thin line there.
But so
but
I think
it's not my job to tell them that they have a problem.
No, we offer the evidence, and in the case of alcohol, not narcotics, not food, alcohol, because remember, we're dealing in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, we're dealing with the substance alcohol. Mm-hmm. We're not dealing with anything else in the beginning. After the substance alcohol is addressed, which is in step one, after that, it's all about our thinking and our behavior and our selfishness. It's not about the substance anymore, right? But we have to determine, if we're going to help raise somebody's bottom, we got to determine whether or not they are literally a food addict. Are they literally a porn addict? Or whatever work and recovery program you're in while you're helping somebody, you're wasting your time if they're just the abuser and they're not the real deal. They don't need your help. You go to somebody that needs your help.
But the steps could help that person too.
Oh, sure.
So
Sure.
it's kind of like, just do them. Just do the steps
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, sure. The steps, you introduce the steps to
They're
anybody
going to help
who's
anyone, anywhere.
anybody. It's just healthy living, man. You know what I mean? But for the person who's going to die if they don't have a spiritual awakening as a result of
Yeah.
those steps,
Yeah.
that's the person we need to be drawn to. That's the person we need to be seeking out. You know, and that's the person. So when somebody sits down with me and says, "Will you help me with my problem with alcohol?" I say, "Okay, so you say you have a problem with alcohol. Do you know what that means? Tell me what that means." Well, when I drink, I keep getting arrested. Okay, that doesn't make you an alcoholic. That just makes you a knucklehead. Let's look at this. So what happens when you don't drink? That's what I want to know. How are you thinking about booze when it's not in you? And you know, if we discovered that you are powerless over the way you think about it, you've tried not to obsess, because that's what it is. It's obsession, right? And you can't stop obsessing, right? Remember, obsession does not conform to reason. It doesn't conform to reason. A heavy drinker can reason himself sober. He can reason himself into not picking up a drink except for on New Year's Eve. He can reason himself to not having any booze except for on the camping trip. An alcoholic can't do that. You know, a food addict can't reason themselves, you know, out of not eating that cupcake. They may not eat it, but they're going to be thinking about it, right? Unless they experience a state of recovered, unless they get into recovery and they follow a few simple suggestions. But back again, I don't think we can help people raise their bottom if they are truly powerless over whatever, you know, until they come to that conclusion. And I don't think we can come to that conclusion for them. We can help them come to that conclusion. Enter intervention. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Were you a low bottom? Do you think?
In my opinion, I would have said absolutely yes at one time, but after I've heard some people's stories, not compared to some people,
Really?
you know, but for me, absolutely. You know, I mean, I'm robbing a deli with my finger. What?
Well, and two,
That's pretty low bottom.
and the fact that you woke up in like another state that sounds very low bottom to
It's
me.
not very low bottom, right? But I didn't wake up in Tokyo like one guy I know.
Oh God.
He woke up in Tokyo on a tahami mat at the Kyoto Tower Hotel in Kyoto, Japan, and didn't know how he got there.
That's funny.
You know, it was like a 3-week blackout. You know, and what's the first thing he thought of? Where's the bar in this hotel? You know, I remember picking up a hitchhiker, and I don't remember. All I know is that I started feeling guilty about, because we ended up using together, and then I stopped at a gas station or something, and I knew, my better self knew, I need to get out of this situation, right? So I just took off and left the guy there, and he needed meds. He said, "I got to get back to my house because I got to take my meds." I left him there. What a horrible thing to do to somebody, right? That was an interesting amends process.
Did you find him?
Huh? No, never
No.
did. So, you know, I had to make what I call a unconnected amends, which had to do with me and God primarily. But things like that, I would have considered at one point, man, that's a horrible, horrible thing to do. That's a horrible behavior that's a horrible thing to experience. You know, but for somebody else, you know, stealing from mama's purse was the worst thing they ever did. And it was absolutely horrific for them when they realized they did that. So, yeah, I mean, I posed as an attorney one time and got a guy out of jail because I didn't have any money and he did, and he was my drinking buddy, and I needed to get alcohol. So I dressed it up in an old beat up 3-piece suit and found myself an old beat up suitcase at Goodwill, marched into the courtroom, went through the little double flappy door things that separate the audience from the attorney, sat down at the table, and when his name was called up, I asked the judge to release him on his own recognizances, and I gave my word that I'd bring him back to court, and an hour later he got out of jail, and he and I went to the bar.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you.
I don't have any stories like that with my little stuff. But
When you need some booze, you just gotta do what you gotta do.
yeah. Well, I did the normal stuff with that of like giving homeless people money to buy it for me. You know? I mean, I think everybody did that.
You gave homeless people money
To buy me alcohol. And
So
they
why
did
couldn't
it.
you go when you were a minor, you mean?
Yeah. I was 15.
Oh. Did they get a cut from the money that you gave
I
them?
don't remember. I'm sure. Maybe they bought themselves one and me one. I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, you stinker. That's I gave you some money, but you got to buy me some booze.
Yeah. But of course they're going to do it, right?
Well, yeah.
I never had any of them say no.
So did other people think that you had hit a bottom? Were they going, man, Alicia, you got to, like with your compulsivity towards overexercise and all that, anybody ever go up and hump at you and say, do you got an issue? Or did nobody say anything?
Not really. No one really did. I think I just kept everybody at an arm's length, so I didn't give them the opportunity.
Right.
And I was around other instructors who were teaching almost as much as I was also, so they couldn't really talk. Like if I was, I taught more than 30 classes a week, and then I was running in between and training all weekend. Yeah, I would think someone would have said, you have a problem. Or maybe they did and I don't remember, and I was like, no, I don't. I'm good.
Because most people, especially people that don't run in the circles you and I run in, would look at that and go, wow, she's on top of it. She's fit. She's exercising every day. She's eating right. Without knowing the degree of the compulsive behavior that you were partaking in, right? They would think you were doing the right thing.
Exactly. Which, made me think like I was such a hypocrite. I'm teaching all these people all day long, every day. And what I was really doing was not healthy. And so it was just.
So what made you turn the corner? I mean, was there a specific incident? Well,
I mean, there was a few, but again, it was just like whatever. Like I bulged a disc teaching, but then I just taught then without weights for a while until it got better. And I crashed and broke my elbow training for a triathlon, but then I would just teach with one arm. I was on the bike with one arm. So and then I thought that was discipline and grit. Like, look at me. I have a broken arm. So what? We can still do all the things.
Right.
But I got to, because I was 48, 6 years ago is when that stopped. And I was like, I'm getting older. I mean, hello. Am I going to be able to teach all these classes and do this when I'm 50, 60? I mean, so that was kind of hitting me. I was getting tired.
Right.
And emotionally tired. I was lying. And
what were you lying about?
I was lying my husband, because we were married for 5 years. In first 5 years of our marriage, I was totally lying about food and pretending I had classes when I didn't, just so I could be gone, so he would not see me not eat. And we lived in 2 different states, so I would make an excuse and not go with him to the other house, so I could just stay home and do whatever I wanted. And yeah, so I was just.
So you were, one would say you were, when it came to your compulsive exercising and your eating practices, that you were manipulative.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Yep.
Right? That
I justified.
you were justifying your behavior. You were going to any length, right?
To keep my addiction.
To continue in it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's definitely a bottom. You know, if you're changing everything around you, trying to control whether the other people in your life find out or not, regardless of what it is, maybe it's you collect too many pencils, you know.
But I think it was a high bottom. Don't you? I
Okay.
think. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, and I only come up with that because, I mean, I didn't lose my husband. I didn't
Right.
lose anything. I mean, except my self-respect. And but then I take that back. I mean, my kids moved to another state. I lost them.
Because of
because of my addiction. 'Cause
really?
my ex remarried. And we decided, all of us together, that they wanted to move to Arizona and I was going to stay in California. And I totally agreed, because in my head, I'm like, I could exercise more now without having to take care of them. And I could eat whatever I want and not have to worry about anything. So someone could see that as a bottom, but I still did it for years and years and years.
So what does that look like? Or they say, hey, mom, you know what? We don't want to watch you kill yourself, so we're going to move. I mean, was it like that?
No,
or?
they didn't move because of that. They were little, 6 and 11.
Oh, okay.
So my ex was like, my wife and I want to move to Arizona, and are you okay with that? Or, I don't even remember, but I was like.
So you started figuring out ways to, like, where in my case, I'd be figuring out ways, where can I hide the booze, or now I don't have to hide it anymore because,
now I can do it more. That's what I was thinking.
Right. And so you're thinking that way about the exercise.
Yeah, I could exercise all day, every day.
See, it's back to the way we think, isn't it? It's all about our thinking.
Yeah.
So what do we say? The problem of the alcoholic centers in the mind. The problem of the sinner centers in the mind. The problem of the compulsive eater centers in the mind. The porn addict centers. It's all this.
Like a normal person would think, no, you're not taking the kids, or I'm going to Arizona with you, or right. That would be a normal mother's reaction. Like,
or codependent.
What are you talking about? Yeah, I'm going to Arizona too. Or no, that's not happening. But
you're thinking immediately went to, I can get away with more. Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
But
so it's the same kind of stuff. So, but I do, so there may be people listening right now that are like, well, I'm highly insulted. I mean, you do not know, you have no idea how bad of a bottom I hit, and you're kind of minimizing my bottom. No, I don't. I want to make sure people understand that that's not what we're doing. Mm-hmm. We're not making less of or more of. Your bottom is your bottom. I just think, again, we can help people raise that. I don't think people have to go to the depths. Some people would say, yes, a person has to hit bottom, meaning the lowest of the low, before they'll turn to recovery.
Do you think
maybe some? I don't. What do you think? You think a person absolutely has to hit the most desperate place they can be before they'll do a turnaround?
I think I used to be one to say that because I remember this one person that would come to one meeting and it would just come out of my mouth, maybe because I heard other people say it. Well, he's just not ready. We have to wait till he hits the bottom. But why? I mean, is that why can't we talk to him now before he has to get any worse?
Have you ever played, I'm not a video game guy, but have you ever seen or played like Mario?
I know about it.
Okay. So I know this guy right now. He reminds me of Mario hitting the bottom on the screen where he goes boink.
Oh.
Dum, 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 and then he falls off the little blocks and he goes down, boink,
And goes
bounces
back up.
back up. He's like Mario. He hits his bottom. He has hit his bottom. There's no other than death. There's no further down he can go, and he keeps boink, boink, boink. He keeps hitting that, and I'm like, when is this guy going to die? Right? I don't say that with any joy in my thinking. I say it with I'm surprised he's not dead yet. I cannot believe. I mean, God must have some pretty powerful things in store for him because everybody's watching him and they're like, there's no reason other than God that this guy is still breathing. And I'm like, everybody has done everything they can. I sponsored him for quite a while.
Well, he probably thinks he's doing fine, right? Because he knows back
he's
up.
not. He knows he's not, but he's like, I'm so sick and tired of people telling me what to do. Boink again and boink again. And he's got enablers in his life, which doesn't help at all. But I'm like, okay, here's a guy who, by all intents and purposes, has hit his bottom multiple times. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we're wrong thinking that that's his bottom. Maybe he can go. I don't know how much lower he can go. He's been incarcerated so much. He's been in treatment so many times. He's worked the steps. I mean, I've sat down with him and walked him through the step process, the way it is laid out. He knows the Lord. He loves the Lord. I'm like, what is it going to take? I don't get. So I'm like, this is one of those guys where the big book says, you may be wasting your time, and you're not giving somebody else a chance to recover if you spend too much time with this guy. So I didn't fire him.
Do you think he falls into that, how it says and how it works? Like they can't be completely honest with themselves?
Maybe.
Something.
Maybe. He's extremely intelligent. He's not eccentric. He's not. He is a conundrum. I'm just like, but if there's a guy like that, there's many more like that. So can we help raise people's bottoms? I think so. Are some people not, their bottoms just not going to get raised, and that's the way it's going to be? I think so. I think it goes both ways. Yeah, I don't know. If the people that know him, if we think about it too much, it's really discouraging. You know what I mean? So we've all had to kind of distance ourselves and let him know we're here when, we're here, but we've done everything we can do. And so what we need to do now is just wait on the Lord and be available when that door opens again. And so I don't know. Here is something I'd like to challenge the listeners. If you know somebody like that, or if you've been that guy, email us. Share with us your story.
And tell us what actually happened when they turned.
Yeah, if you worked with somebody like that, or you've seen somebody like that for years, and then it all changed for the better, share that, because this isn't the first time I've ran into people like that, to where I'm like, we're just all scratching our heads year after year after year. You know what I mean? And it's like people say, well, jails, institutions, and death. Well, he's done the jails. He's done the institutions. I guess that's
left.
What's left. Yeah. So if you have an experience like that, or you know somebody like that, or you're that person,
yeah,
drop us an email.
Monty.
Yeah, so the email address is take12radio@comcast.net. Take12radio@comcast.net. Wow. Well, we're out of time. Yeah. Closing thoughts, Alicia.
I would say just be honest with yourself. If you don't know, or if you are one of those people that say, well, I haven't gotten a DUI, I haven't gone to jail, I haven't had a heart attack because of my eating disorders or whatever, don't wait for that. Just be completely honest with yourself. Do you have that obsession? Are you the mental twists, the allergy? Read the big book. And even if you don't feel like, oh yes, I have a problem, do the steps anyways. Do the steps.
Yeah, you may discover some things about yourself that you didn't know.
And it'll still help you with everything else. That's what I say.
Yeah, right on. Right on. Listen, listeners, next week there will not be a show.
Because
of Christmas. But on January 1st, we're going to do a show on responses versus reactions, and we're going to talk about personal goals for the new year. I have made a resolution not to make any resolutions, and then I realized I just made a resolution.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be talking about that, and Tom will be back with us, I believe. Won't he?
Yep.
Yeah. So we are excited about what he's doing. He's doing stuff for the Came to Believe Recovery Ministry, and he's out there. He's out there on. How do you say it? He's in the field. He's in the field.
He is.
Working really, really hard. He works really. Pray for him, folks, and all the Came to Believe Recovery team. We all need your prayers. We all have different jobs to do, and God is really blessing this organization. And but doesn't mean we don't need your prayers. We covet your prayers. So instead of a song, I thought I would play this clip. One of my favorite commentators, who's not been with us for a very long time now, Mr. Paul Harvey. And this is a reading that he did called "The Man and the Birds." It's a special Christmas reading. We want to wish every one of you a very Merry Christmas, and please be good to each other. Be good to each other. Smile at somebody that you don't want to smile at. It might be good for you. Right, Alicia?
Yes.
Yeah. Here is Paul Harvey, "The Man and the Birds."
The man I'm talking about was not a Scrooge now. He was a kind, a decent, a mostly good man, generous to his family and upright in his dealings with other men, but he just did not believe in all of that incarnation stuff which the churches proclaim at Christmas time. It just did not make sense. And he was too honest to pretend otherwise. He could not swallow the Jesus story about God coming to earth as a man. He told his wife, "I'm truly sorry to distress you, but I'm just not going with you to church this Christmas Eve." He said he'd feel like a hypocrite, that he'd much rather just stay home, but that he would wait up for them. So he stayed, and they went to the midnight service. Now, shortly after the family drove away in the car, snow began to fall. He went to the window to watch the flurries getting heavier and heavier. Then he went back to his fireside chair, began to read his newspaper. Minutes later, he was startled by a thudding sound, and then another, then yet another. At first, he thought somebody must be throwing snowballs against the living room window. But when he went to the front door to investigate, he found a flock of birds huddled out there miserably in the snow. They had been caught in the storm. In a desperate search for shelter, they had tried to fly through his large landscape window. That was what had been making the sound. Well, he couldn't let those poor creatures just lie there and freeze. So he remembered the barn where his children stabled their pony. That would provide a warm shelter. All he would have to do is direct the birds into that shelter. Quickly he put on a coat and galoshes, and he tramped through the deepening snow to the barn, and he opened the doors wide. And inside the barn he turned on a light so the birds would know the way in. But the birds did not come in. So he figured that food would entice them. He went back into the house and fetched some breadcrumbs and sprinkled those on the snow, making a trail of breadcrumbs to the yellow-lighted, wide-open doorway of the stable. But to his dismay, the birds ignored the breadcrumbs. The birds just continued to flop around helplessly in the snow. He tried catching them. He could not. He tried shooing them into the barn by walking around them, waving his arms, but instead they scattered in every direction except into the warm, lighted barn. And that's when he realized that they were afraid of him. They were afraid of him. To him, he reasoned, I'm a strange, terrifying creature. If only I could think of some way to let them know that they can trust me, that I'm not trying to hurt them but to help them. But how? Any move he made tended to frighten them and confuse them. They just would not follow. They would not be led or shooed because they feared him. And he thought to himself, if only I could be a bird now, if I could be a bird and mingle with them and speak their language and tell them not to be afraid, then I could show them the way to the safe, warm barn. But I would have to be one of them, wouldn't I? So they could see and hear and understand. At that moment, the church bells began to ring. The sound reached his ears. Above the sounds of the wind, and he stood there listening to the bells. Adeste Fidelis. Listening to the bells, pealing the glad tidings of Christmas. And he sank to his knees in the snow. I hope for you and those you love, this will be a wonderfully Merry Christmas.
Came to Believe Recovery strives to create and promote opportunities for life-changing spiritual experiences for individuals and families suffering from all forms of addiction. For more information, help, and support, visit cametobelieverecovery.org. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be your host on this episode of the Came to Believe Recovery podcast. And I would encourage you to like, bookmark, and subscribe to this show. When you do, you will join the Take 12 Recovery Radio family and will be notified of all of our recovery-focused shows throughout the week. Until our next broadcast, when we provide the essential spiritual tools needed to thrive by sharing our experience, our strength, and our hope through our stories of how we came to believe.
This has been a production of Take 12 Recovery Radio.
Yeah, kitty, kitty, kitty. Meow.
Woof, woof.
This has been a Chicken and a Pig production.